Welcome to Talk to Me Like I'm an Idiot. I'm your host, Angie McMahon. On this show, I interview people about jobs and topics I know nothing about. You can find us on all your favorite social sites at Idiot Talk Show. You can also use that hashtag to keep up with the conversation. Don't forget to tell a friend. Now, let's start the show.
I don't want to be alone in this bed. Won't you give me something I can take apart? I don't want to listen to the yelling in my head or the crying in my idiot heart. Idiot heart.
So welcome to the show. Very excited today to have a performer. Mm-hmm. You are a filmmaker, an editor.
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Sam Bowers here. So first of all, I always like to start with, how do we know each other?
How do we know each other? From the Chicago improv world. I mean,
Yeah.
there's crisscrossing of wires everywhere. So I don't
think that we know each other. Like, know each other.
Did we? No. I don't think we've hung out or anything.
I don't even know how we became friends on Facebook.
Me neither. I mean, it's maybe some festival related thing or something.
That sounds logical. Maybe
Maybe we emailed each other at some point about a thing, and then there was I don't know specifically, but we are Facebook friends.
We are
Facebook friends. And now we're podcast friends.
That's right. So I did a little bit of research on you. I'm gonna ask some dumb questions.
Oh boy.
So you recently got a job for the Hub.
Yes, I got a promotion at work. And so now my job title is producer.
Ooh.
For the last year or so, I've been editing full-time for a Canadian company called Valnet. Mm-hmm. And they produce just slew of YouTube educational and entertainment content. So I was editing for them remotely, and then several months ago, I had an idea for my own series that I wanted to do that I pitched them, and they were like, oh my God, this pitch was incredible, and we do not want to do this show.
Oh, no.
Hard rejection of it. Beeping.
That's a coffee maker.
Oh,
sorry.
Very authentic. We're in the same room. So I pitched it. They said, we don't want to do this show. Very bad idea for us. But we like your entrepreneurial spirit and recognize the work that you've done for the company for about the last year, so we'll keep you in mind if anything comes along. And then so at the end of March, the executive I had been pitching to reached out to me, and she said, hey, we're working on a new series. Are you interested in developing it with us? And I said, absolutely. What is it? So now 2 months after development, we've sort of greenlit it and we're going forward. And it's a YouTube channel called The Hub. And it's sort of like a twist on Tosh.0. Okay. It's not as hard comedy as that or America's Funniest Home Videos would be.
If you can call that hard comedy.
Well, I know, but jokes and laugh. It's not about that.
Okay.
There's obviously lightheartedness and funniness to it, but it's more just sort of casual, interesting content with my narration and producing behind it. So that's my full-time job at the moment is producing stuff for the Hub.
So the company is in Canada, but you're producing it locally?
In Chicago, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I know what a theater producer does. Mm-hmm. A theater producer is generally the person who does the scheduling and deals with the money and who everyone thinks is the person that gets all the money and they don't. Mm-hmm. What does a film producer do, or in this case, web series?
Well, so yeah, this would be a web series producer. A film producer would be a Jerry Bruckheimer who has millions and millions of dollars and knows people who has millions and millions of dollars. I am not one of those people. I do not know anybody with millions of dollars that would make something for me, I guess. Maybe my parents know somebody from home with $1 million. So what I do in my role as a producer is I'm basically in charge of creating the entire thing. And we decided for this series that I was capable of doing it all myself. Okay. So we developed it initially with a couple of people doing voiceover, and then one person was writing copy, and then I was researching content for videos, and another person was voicing it. And we were just having a lot of obstacles getting all these people working remotely. To work together seamlessly. So I was like, why don't I perform, but I wasn't doing voiceover for them at this point. And I was like, let me just take a crack at it, because we're in development right now. It doesn't need to be perfect. So I did it, and they were like, "Oh my God, wait a minute! Why didn't you tell us that you did voiceover?" And I was like, "I don't know. I wasn't hired as a voiceover person for you,
right.
And I don't want to be like, I listen to all the things that I do as well." So yeah, then they said you'll do voiceover. So yeah, now my role as a producer is like, if I don't go to work one day, if I don't do my job, a video doesn't come out. So I research all of the content and then do the script and then edit the video and then do the voiceover.
You don't have a team behind you at all.
So there's one executive that's above me, and she often provides like big picture editorial insight over what I do. But for the most part, and as we get further and further along with it, she's more hands off and I'm more just like going forward and doing it myself.
Wow.
So it's a ton of like creative control and responsibility, which I love. So I don't have to monkey around with egos of other people or anything like that.
It also probably is a little isolating though, or lonely, or
it would be if I wasn't like involved in a bunch of other stuff though.
Right.
Like if I was just wake up every day, make this video, go to bed, it would be, and like living in a concrete jungle of Chicago, it would be soul crushing. I think I could do it if I lived out in like the beautiful wilderness or something. Like I'd fill my vessel through the environment. Or the way I do it now is I'm involved in the Chicago comedy community and a bunch of other like artistic endeavors. So this is my full-time job that I do mostly alone, but I do plenty of other stuff that
right on.
helps balance that out.
All right, I saw that you are teaching a class on pitching TV series and web series.
Yes.
So, first of all, is that going well, your class?
Yeah, we are not in session right now. We ended, and then I'm going away for a little bit this summer. When I come back, we'll be doing another section. But yeah, TV development and pitching TV, development and pitching TV and web series is what the class is. And that is basically what the title is. I teach people how to take their ideas or their scripts and bring it to the next level, which is have someone give you money for it or have someone make it with you.
So you know how to take an idea and find a person who will make it and then get them to make it.
Yes.
So first of all, what have you had made?
Well, I can announce this today, as of 30 minutes ago. The TV pilot we made this year for a show called Framed was just accepted into the New York Television Festival.
Fantastic.
So
congratulations.
Thank you so much. They just put the press release out like 45 minutes ago.
This won't be on for 3 weeks.
Yeah. But so it's like my phone's blowing up right now and everything. So we're going to New York with that. So that's sort of like my big project right now. And then in going to the New York Television Festival, of course, we'll have this show called Framed that I made with Claire McFadden that we'll try to bring to people and pitch to people, whatever. But I'll also have a catalog of a bunch of other shows and types of stuff that I can offer somebody.
So that's really like submitting through a festival, and there's like websites and stuff that you can submit and have professionals read it and everything like that. Mm-hmm. Let's say I didn't get into a festival. Mm-hmm. What happens? How can I get this show that this show I'm making right now? How do I get this show into the hands of I don't know, podcast superheroes or whatever, or like television people? Netflix. Get me on Netflix, man.
Well, if you have 8 weeks, you can take my class and we'll go over all of it. But I can give you the overview right now.
Give some nuggets.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think there are several very specific and tangible ways you can go about doing that. Of like, I have a thing, I have an idea, I don't have a lot of money or resources to make it. How do I get to that stage? One way is a very straightforward method of submitting to festivals. Right. There are all sorts of festivals that you can go to, and depending on the festival, there might be agents or networks or distributors there who will see the thing, go, I like your thing, let's make your thing. That's a very clear-cut way to do it. Of course, super competitive to like get into a bunch of festivals.
And it can be expensive too.
Submission fees. I always say, when considering the festival route, remember that festivals exist to make money.
Yeah.
And while I'm sure there's some dignified incentive behind doing it. If we want to bring young artists to like the next stage, whatever.
No, they don't.
There's a kernel of that somewhere, but the majority of it is like, let's make some money off of submission fees. So definitely keep that in mind. Another way to do it is to have heat. So like here in Chicago, when every year some people go off to audition for SNL, and then the majority of them don't get the job, of course, and they come back to town. And a bunch of agencies, like last year, CAA, Creative Arts Agency, heard about the 8 or however many people from IO that went off and auditioned, and then they went, all right, who didn't get it? We're going to go to New York and see their shows. So then they come and they watch these people and go, oh my God, so-and-so is very, very funny. We want to sign them to a deal or, listen to do a pitch session or a general meeting with them. So you can have heat from sort of getting recognized and just growing and climbing ladders like that, and people may learn your name. What are the other ways that you can do it that's not the final way that I like to do it?
I mean, that seems like, obviously, there's no magic bullet. This does take work. It's like any other job. It's like becoming a doctor, becoming a lawyer. It's a lot of training. It's a lot of, getting not just, I mean, there is some luck in becoming like a lawyer because you have to interview well, get your resume out there, and it's all the same kind of tenements as being an actor or performer or creator and all of that. But there does seem to be like a secret somehow, like there's no clear path. Like I can't take classes at Second City and guarantee that I'm going to get on the touring company and guarantee I'm going to be on the main stage and then get an audition for Saturday Night Live. There's no guarantee I'm going to take classes at IO and that Sharn is going to like my audition and allow me to audition for SNL and all of that. So what are those doors when like you didn't get on a Herald team, you're not on House Co, you're not on Tour Co, you're not on whatever else. I mean, like, you're not on Matt Barbera's radar for Just for Laughs. I have an agent. I'm a SAG actor, but I'm still, would have no idea where those doors are.
So the other, secret ways to do it. I think there's 2 pretty good ones. Great example of this. Last year, a young man named Karan Sunil here in Chicago had an idea for a web series called Code Switched. And it's about a handful of young second-generation South Asians living in Chicago, navigating the world of their young American citizens and their parents are immigrants. And so dealing with sort of that contrast there. He said, I want to make this show more than anything in the world. So he wrote a script for it. He got a bunch of people together that were friends of his to shoot some small testimonial stuff that didn't cost any money. And then he did a crowdfunding campaign and raised tens of thousands of dollars to do it. So he took all that money and now is in the production process of making the first season of his show. So he's actually getting to do the job that way, just from I have an idea and I put it in front of the world, and the world was receptive to it. So crowdfunding is certainly an option in 2018 if you've got an audience that's gonna want your product.
And then you're what? You're just throwing it on Vimeo, you're throwing it on YouTube, and just sitting back and waiting for the revenue coming.
You gotta do. It's all about the hustle at that point. So it's you gotta do an Indiegogo campaign or a Kickstarter campaign, one of those things. You have to contact your friends and family to see if they'll invest in your thing. Right. Try to find some sort of angel investors, of course, is the dream. I know Karan had some family friends back home in Washington State where he's from that were like, hey, we'll throw a little money to this to help you cross whatever threshold you need to get to. And then hustling to media outlets, find the Facebook page or Facebook group that targets the audience you want to target and send them a one sheet of what you're trying to do to try to get them to send it to their people. That's all the hustle that Karan did to get his show made. It wasn't like he just made a thing, put it online, and crossed his fingers. Very calculated every step. How do I get to the people that I know will give me money for this?
Right on.
It's a whole art form these days, and I'm sure I'm excited to see in a few years people who are producers of crowdfunding campaigns. I'm sure they already exist. I just don't know about them at large yet.
My 7-year-old wants to be a YouTube star so badly. Loves YouTube. And I told her, if you learn how to record yourself, edit and create a channel art, how to upload it, if you learn all of those steps, I'll let you get a YouTube channel. And So she did. She's 7, and she sat with tutorials. She learned how to set up a channel art, how to record on the computer, how to edit it in iMovie, you know. And so she has a little channel now. And she's like, well, I only have like 30 views. And I was like, well, the other part is audience development. You got to learn it all, baby. But she's 7, and I feel like by the time she's in college, this is going to be a major.
It was already my major. That was my degree from Columbia College was in television, internet, and mobile media. So it was specifically in development and production of web video content. It was very new at the time, but I was like, I think I'm going to be able to get work if I have a degree in this thing. So I got the degree in that thing, and it paid off so far.
So, okay, so then opens up a whole can of other dumb questions, right?
Okay.
Like, I put my video out on YouTube, or my 7-year-old puts her video out on YouTube and just puts enough hashtags and hopes the world sees it. There is some not magic, but there is some magic there, right? That makes that more people view it, that makes it go viral, that makes it, or get 1,000 views, or, you know. I'm in a video where, and it came out before the Oscars for Foxy Heart, where I just described The Shape of Water, which I thought was just a weirdo movie.
Fun movie to describe.
Yes. Yeah. And we threw it up on YouTube, you know, with no real, like, anything behind it. Like, just like, oh, this is something before the Oscars. And it's got, like, 65,000 views, which is great. And I'm like, wow, like 65,000 views, where like a YouTube star would be like, oh, that didn't do very well on my channel, right? So there's some and we did nothing special. It just hooked on at the right time or whatever. Is it luck? Is there magic? Is there technique behind it?
There's a million factors, and they're changing all the time, which is why this industry is so complicated. Yeah. Because YouTube is only a little over 10 years old at this point. Yeah. And you know, 5 years ago, YouTube was without question the most dominant video marketplace on the internet. Right. And then Facebook said, we're going to start doing video. And then Facebook completely swooped in, and unlike YouTube, didn't pay anybody for it. Right. But still had access to all the views. So it's just in constant state of evolution. So what I say here is the things that I think work today might not be the case tomorrow. Yeah. Because there could be some new algorithm. Several approaches, and I'll try to distill them into like different silos. The first one I'll call thumbnail down, which is if you want your video to be seen, there are basically two metrics that play into whether someone wants to click on it. That's the title of the video and the thumbnail of the video. And this is specifically about YouTube. I wish there were more, but it's just those two things, which makes it somewhat easy to game the system. If you work from title and thumbnail down and put like content last, you might get more clicks. The content might not be as good because your priority wasn't the content. It was the title and the thumbnail. But this is like if you go on and you type like world's creepiest fish, you're going to see a bunch of videos that all have the same exact thumbnail of a very creepy fish thing that washed up on a beach somewhere. Okay. And it's super creepy and interesting to look at. So you click on it, and every single one of these people that's posted a video like that knows that as well. So they took the cool, interesting thumbnail and put it up there. You can get views by doing thumbnail down, by just going, what's the most interesting looking thumbnail and what's the most interesting set of words I can put in the title that people are going to click on. That is what often people refer to as clickbait. The other way to do it is like make really high quality content, of course. But that doesn't necessarily lead to a bunch of views because your titles and thumbnails might not be very good. And Facebook, which is the dominant internet place to find content, has been very effective at crushing YouTube on their platform.
And this is what Funny or Die was talking about. Yes. That basically publishers are finding it very difficult to monetize because Facebook has such a dominance in the market right now.
Facebook doesn't pay almost anybody to put. They've started to roll out some ads here or there, but in large, they're not doing that. You can do AdSense on your YouTube videos and make money off of that ad revenue. The same model does not apply for Facebook. So what happens is people like Funny or Die make an amazing video on YouTube, and it's super, super funny, and they go share it on their Facebook page, and Facebook's algorithm goes, this is from YouTube. We don't want people to go to YouTube. We want them to stay on Facebook. So we're going to bury this link way at the bottom of your feed so you don't see it. And then so nobody sees it, so Funny or Die doesn't make any money there.
Right.
And Funny or Die could upload it to Facebook, but they don't make any money because Facebook doesn't put ads on the stuff.
Right.
The Onion is struggling with this mightily right now.
Yeah.
Because most people only read the headline of an Onion story,
Right.
which is visible when they post on Facebook, so you don't click on it and go to theonion.com, which is where they get ad revenue.
Oh, I never thought of that. I don't read the articles.
Right.
If there is an article, usually it's just headlines, right? And fun images.
Yeah, if you love The Onion, click the link and go to their page and spend a long time scrolling through all their ads because they make money off of that. They make $0 if you just look at the headline on Facebook.
Wow.
Or leave a comment. As of now, that might change. But yeah, they're struggling with that a lot. So yeah, you can make good content, and in theory, people will share it because it's good, and sometimes that happens. I think there's sort of a happy medium of people who are hyper successful. Do you know Casey Neistat?
No. Is that a YouTuber?
He's a YouTuber. He's close to eclipsing 10 million subscribers. Very, very high profile guy. He does a lot of thumbnail down strategy where you look at the thumbnails, they're all super interesting. They're all provocative or unique or have a little wow factor in it. The titles have wow factor too. One of his most successful videos is called A $21,000 Airplane Ticket. And he just does like a behind the scenes of what it's like to fly first class on Emirates from like Sydney to Dubai. That is a very good title because everyone goes, what is it? I want to know what is involved in $21,000 airline ticket. The thing that pushes him to the next level is his content is also fantastic. He's a festival-winning filmmaker. He's an extremely dynamic personality. He's explosive on screen in a way that's not like Farley-esque, but just like engaging. He's cool. He knows a bunch of famous people at this point. He engages in what I like to call luxury porn, which is he is a very rich person now, so he's able to do a $21,000 airline flight. So a lot of his content is like, this is how the other side lives. And, you know, a $15,000 a night hotel room in San Francisco. What's that? Only he does the video because he's the person who has access to all of it. So I think that's a prime example of you can do title and thumbnail down strategy to get clicks, and you can keep people and get shares by actually making really good stuff.
Yes. And so, excellent. All of that is excellent. So on the other side of things, people are getting discovered on YouTube. This is another place where television executives are looking at high clicked videos to try to develop content. It feels like right now, so much is being streamed, and television is just rechurning everything from the 80s and 90s that worked then.
Yeah.
And that may or may not work now. So where is that cross section? Where is a new content maker finding their in?
There was a golden window of time
Yeah.
in the late 2000s where YouTube was this growing thing that people were going to, and it hadn't been hyper corporatized yet, and you could just get discovered. Of course, the prime example is always Justin Bieber was found on YouTube. Usher saw his YouTube video. And Bo Burnham, the stand-up, was also discovered on YouTube. Like, it's so insane to me to think that you could be some kid that uploads a video of you singing and Usher saw it.
Yeah.
Today. Like, no way. The thing you have today is an Ellen DeGeneres situation where it's like some kid has the Yodel boy from a few weeks ago. Like, she sees him and moves him there. It's just insane to me that ever happens these days because there's so much content on it. But yeah, there was a golden window of time when you could get discovered. You could be Bo Burnham, 16 years old, in your bedroom playing on your keyboard, and people just found it. It's so much more corporatized now on YouTube, where YouTube has their stars. They have their Casey Neistats, like I just mentioned, their David Dobrik's, their Liza Koshy's, all these like big YouTube people that have millions and millions of followers and make millions of dollars. And YouTube knows they're successful. we all know that whatever form you're creating, whether it's a movie, a TV show, web series, or an improv show, people care about characters usually more than anything else. And YouTube has identified that, our vloggers and our celebrities are characters in themselves. We need to promote our characters. So if you drive through Hollywood, you see billboards with YouTubers' faces on them. And it's like, well, I'm also a YouTuber. How do I get on there? It's changed, and now I think YouTube is so much like a TV network in that regard, where they go, we really like you. We're going to promote you every way that we possibly can, which it's their company. They can do whatever they want to do. What's a good example of someone like breaking through? Great example recently of someone breaking through was, of course, Three-Peat. The improv team had their video, The Blackening, that came out a month or so ago, has over 15 million views on Facebook.
Now, how did they connect with Comedy Central? I'm assuming it's because Chris Redd was a member of the troupe, and he's now on Saturday Night Live. Is that the end? You gotta get a famous friend to pull you up?
That definitely helps, and that's also super helpful if you're ever going into a pitch meeting with someone, you're submitting to a TV festival, if you have like a star attached, that's always gonna get your foot in the door. So if you know famous people, like see if they'll help you like be in your stuff. But like Three-Peat is now blowing up into this thing, and they were a group of Chicago improvisers that wanted to play together, so they formed a team and started performing, and then were drawing audiences, so they got a run at I.O., and then they were Monday nights at I.O. for several years. And then a guy like Chris Redd goes and gets on SNL, John Thibodeau goes and gets hired by Stephen Colbert, Shantira Jackson was writing for BET. Some people individually started getting their way up there, but they were always committed to this ensemble. Like that was something that was very important to them. But that was just an example of like, we're all in Chicago. We moved to a major market and we hustled and we worked and we took classes and we auditioned. And my friend made it here. So now they're feeding the beast back this way. And then they got in contact with Comedy Central. I know that when I was the program director of the I.O. Comedy Network, we had been developing some stuff with Comedy Central. I think that may have been separate from them. I think Comedy Central was speaking to both of us, but in completely separate ways.
Yeah.
But so like they may have gotten that way. Of course, Charlotte I.O. always has connections to people, and people call her all the time. And I know several of them are also alums of the New York Television Festival, where they probably would have met Comedy Central as well. But that was a homegrown group of people that all started performing improv together because they liked to be together, and they had great talent and a great voice, and all these things that it takes to be successful. And so now it's starting to happen for them, and I would be stunned if they don't eventually get a show on Comedy Central.
Yeah, that absolutely. I love that video, and I personally know a few members of the team, like Patrick Rowland and I have worked together for a long time. And I was just talking to Mars Timms yesterday, Chris Redd, who was on Pimprov, who we wrote a play around back in 2003, I think. So I know a few of those members, and absolutely talent deserved. Sometimes I wonder, like, these beautiful stories of things like that, of like, even looking at like Amy Poehler and Tina Fey and Rachel Dratch all being on touring company together, and like with Adam McKay, and they kind of pulled each other up, and Scott Adsit, the same thing. I wonder sometimes if young 17-year-old inspiring comedian / improviser finds out about these Cinderella stories, and they think, I'm just going to move to Chicago and I'm just going to do A, B, C, and D, and then I'm going to be super famous.
It can happen that way. It totally can.
Yes.
We've seen it for a number of people. It does not work that way for the vast majority of people. Thousands of people move to Chicago, LA, New York every year to try to make it, and it doesn't happen.
I don't think that is said enough. I don't think that is said enough. I don't think it's said enough that, like, there's really only been about 300 people in the world who have done main stage at Second City.
Right.
Like 300 out of a quadrillion in the world.
Yeah.
Total. And I feel like those stories get so focused on, and we miss out on the 7,000 or 8,000 people that tried to do exactly that and just didn't get it.
Right. The thing I like to think about those stories, though, is how I feel like we often lump those stories onto one category, where it's Tina worked her way up here, and then got the jobs. Tina's path was also unique compared to the other paths.
Yeah.
All of them are their own paths. It wasn't like John Belushi carved a path through the forest and a bunch of people walked down that. Maybe they took a step on the path from time to time, but everyone's taken their own unique road. So yeah, I do think it's sad when I see people like, I'm going to go and do what they did, because what that person did was unique to that person.
Yeah.
What Tina Fey did, what Amy Poehler, I mean, look at Tina Fey was at Second City. She was eventually in Tour Co. on a main stage, got hired as a writer because Adam McKay was head writer at SNL. But people lump Amy Poehler into the same category. No, Amy's journey was completely different.
Yeah.
She didn't get on main stage at Second City.
Nope.
She moved to New York with UCB, and they started a theater there and got a show on Comedy Central, and then she got on SNL.
Right.
So, like, don't think that Tina and Amy had the same path, and you just have to follow their path, because their path is completely different as well.
Right. Excellent. We're just cruising here.
We're knocking them down one at a time. Myth busting.
Well, what dumb questions do you have for me?
That I have for you?
Yeah. Do you have any?
Well, I am curious because you're on what I think is a very cool journey of like, I'm gonna learn a bunch of stuff like that I have no idea about. So I'm curious, like, if that's something that is scary.
In some cases, I'll say, like, so the interview I did right before you this afternoon was with a QAnon follower. I don't know if you're familiar with QAnon. I just got very familiar with it. It is people who believe in the deep state, and that they believe the deep state is covering up government conspiracies, and that there's a lot, there's layers. Oh, so many layers.
Sure.
So I interviewed him, and I didn't know him. I met him. He follows me on Twitter, and he's not even sure how he found me on Twitter. He thought I was funny. Somebody shared something I made, and so he just follows me on Twitter. And I was a little nervous about, like, I'm going to interview a stranger with vastly different beliefs than me, and they could be a maniac just because they're nice on Twitter, or, you know, I have no idea. So that was a little, it was not, I wouldn't say frightening, because we had a screen between us.
Okay.
It was over Skype, and I didn't give him any, like, personal information. But yes, like that. I know I'm talking to my friend Mark later, who's a Chicago police officer. I'm nervous about that because some of the discussions that come up around police brutality.
Especially in this city.
I know, and he was a Chicago police officer for 30 years. He's African-American male, and so he's got all kinds of layers of stuff, and I'm super nervous to talk about, like, shit I feel like I shouldn't be talking about, right?
Oh, do you feel like I'm at a place I don't deserve to be a part of this conversation?
Yes. Like, I was just saying the other day, on Facebook, someone had put, like, that there's a lot of complaints about straight people going to the Pride Parade.
Yeah.
Because, you know, they're doing it kind of as a party, and they're not there to celebrate, all these things. And, this woman who posted on Facebook said, just because it's a man and a woman, or they visually are a man and a woman, doesn't mean that they're not trans, doesn't mean that they're, whatever's going on with them, that they're out of place, that they shouldn't be there. Right. And I commented, because I'm a parent of a gay child, and I commented, do parents of gay children belong? And she was like, yes, I totally think that you can go, like, everyone belongs at Pride. And I was like, because I don't want to step on somebody's thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's a super hard conversation. Like, it gets so sticky.
You're towing lines left and right here.
I know. And so, and the other thing is, the bottom line to that feeling is, I don't want to hurt people. I just don't want to hurt people. And I can't say in my life that I've never said something ignorant that would be hurtful to someone. Probably yes. But at the same time, if somebody said to me, like, if somebody pointed out, like, what you just said is hurtful, I would feel like shit. And that's, it's like a couple things. One, it's like an old joke I used to tell. I did stand up for like a half a second. But it was a joke that I used to tell where, like, I say my mom, she says, oh, the fucking Polacks in the neighborhood can't drive for shit. And I'd say, Mom, that's racist. And she'd go, why? They're not black. And that's a real conversation me and my mother have had. Like, is that about a black person that's not racist? So that's like fighting against being raised in that way. Of thinking, like, you can't, like, the things that you can't say anything bad about a black person or a Jewish person, but, like, everybody else is totally, you can shit on everybody else's culture. Yeah. It's kind of how I was raised, right? So this won't be a podcast I share with Mom. So, but, so then, and the other side of things, also, like, I'm straight, I'm white, I am 41 years old, there's times when I feel like I'm told that I'm not allowed to feel anything. Like the other day, I'm Sicilian. My father is 100% Sicilian. My mother's not. My mother is a hillbilly. So, but I grew up with culture. I grew up with my culture. My grandparents were immigrants to this country. And so every Sunday we had Sunday dinner, and I grew up with a lot of culture, but I feel like sometimes I'm told because I'm white, I'm not allowed to celebrate my culture or to feel anything. The other day I was in a class and we were looking at the script of The Departed, which in the stage directions of The Departed, it's like guinea this and guinea that. And I was like, this is offensive to me. And I was told by the teacher, oh, come on. It's like a 4 on the scale of racism. And I was like...
It's on the scale!
I was like, how dare you tell me I can't feel offended when somebody... I mean, it's... I could sit there and do the shades of gray of what guinea means and what it has meant to me growing up. But it's a slur. And it's upsetting that I was told, like, get over it. Right. So, yeah, so those conversations I think they're tricky. I get nervous. I went on Facebook once and I talked about, here in Chicago, there was some woman, this was like last year, who got videotaped in, maybe it was a Starbucks? Starbucks gets a lot of heat. She was like having a racist rant. No, it was a Michaels. It was a Michaels, and she had some crazy rant where she's screaming at the cashiers and she's screaming at everybody. And, what happens these days, people then immediately, not only are they upset or let's find out who she is and this and that, but then they put her personal info all out on the internet, her address, her phone number, her husband's name, her everything. And I had put on Facebook, I don't think doxing is okay. And I got a lot of people coming at me like, but she is an HR person. She's in charge of hiring or not hiring people of color. And she deserves everything she gets. And I'm like, yes, I agree. I also don't like her. But I think doxing is not okay. And it was a huge controversy for me to say that. To say that I don't think we should try to destroy her life and the life of everyone she's related to because she's an asshole. Like, we can say she's an asshole. We could take down her business, get her whatever. 1 star on Yelp. I'm all aboard on that. When I personally can tell you where she lives, her husband's name, her phone number, and all of that. I knew all of that. Did not bother a lot of people. And so I feel like sometimes I don't even want to speak up because I'm just going to be like, because even that opinion hurt people's feelings.
I have, I've been struggling a bit with, I tend to be a very outspoken person. And I was very, very into, not for the sake of ignition, but igniting debates on conservative Facebook pages. So I would follow Fox News and Breitbart and Drudge Report and the Comical Conservative and like all these things out of a genuine sense to understand what other people were thinking. People were so far away from me and trying to rationalize their insane points of view. And I would go, and then there were many times where I would get to a Fox News story just as they posted it, and I'd be able to leave a comment there, and then a day later it's got 2,500 likes and there's 10,000 comments on it. And I used to be really, really advocating for that type of thing. Like the people who, we're all living in echo chambers, right? So anytime we can hear a point of view from the other side is, I think, beneficial, because I know for me, my point of view changes daily from reading comment sections.
Oh, I'm addicted to comments.
It changes constantly from what I read.
Do you know what I'd love to do, which is so dumb? Like, it's not political. I love when something's advertised to me, like a cosmetic company, and just opening the comments. And like, just... So, reading sometimes people's outrage over cosmetics is
pick your battles, people. Come on,
amazing.
Pick your battles.
Open Tasty's comment section someday, and have people go on and on about the recipe. I mean, it's amazing to me.
Yeah, so I like to ignite a lot of those things because I knew since my opinion was being changed, maybe we could change some other people's opinions. And of course, there are people who are entrenched on both sides and they're not going to listen, but I thought there were people in the middle that are going to go. Then we learned that a bunch of Russian robots hacked Facebook and left intentionally inflammatory comments to rile us all up. And now I don't know how I feel about it anymore. Yeah. Because it was one thing if I'm engaging with a real human being and real human beings are reading it, but when I honestly don't know whether I'm talking to a person or a robot,
I try not to get into heated debates anymore on Twitter. I like to spend a lot of time on Twitter. That's my safe space.
It's much cleaner, I think. It's less messy than Facebook is.
And I have engaged in these conversations, and it's usually somebody coming to my page and seeing something I posted and being like, "But what about Snowflake, Hillary email, blah," right? And I would just get into it. And at some point, I would just get so mad, I'd be like, "You're a bot."
Yeah.
Right? Bot.
And you may have been right.
Yes. But I also hate myself that I'm just like, what if I'm wrong?
Yeah.
And I'm just saying to this person, I'm so angry right now. I have nothing else to say to you other than you're not a person.
I think where I am right now, and this is still evolving, but I think today, like, I will not engage online with someone who doesn't have their face in a profile picture.
That's fair.
Because I'm like, so many people, I remember getting in fights with so many people that have an eagle as their profile picture.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of those were the Russian bots that just will put an eagle on there because it fits the mold.
It's America.
Yeah. So I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to be as outspoken as I used to be on social media because I don't know how many actual people are actually reading it.
That's kind of what I started doing is if I live tweet the inauguration or whatever I decide to live tweet that might be political. The State of the Union was the last thing I think I did. And somebody comes over on my page and starts like yelling at me. I just say like, I didn't come find you. Like, get off my page. We don't agree. Right. We don't agree. We're not going to agree. I strongly believe, like, I organized the rally to restore sanity satellite event in Grant Park. And I strongly believed in that message of, like, having reasonable public discourse. Like, we can agree to disagree without calling each other Hitler. I strongly believed in Jon Stewart's statement in that. But what I realized in organizing that rally is that you can't, like, restore sanity. You just can't. Like, because we can be having a very civil conversation, and at some point you could be like, you're an idiot, and then that's it. That moment has changed the whole conversation. And we can no longer have reasonable public discourse.
Yeah, I mean, we're so going down rabbit holes right now.
Right. It's
but
a podcast.
I think what you're saying, I like to say that I think the single most effective political action since World War II was committing the act of 9/11 and taking down the World Trade Center. Because, and I think as tragic and horrific as it is, Al-Qaeda was unbelievably successful in destabilizing America, which is now 15 years later, resulting in Donald Trump being elected president of the United States.
By the way, my QAnon fella
Yeah.
went on about the 9/11.
I'm sure he has some thoughts. My roommate in college read the 9/11 Commission report or whatever, and
he says that basically Deep State planned 9/11 because we were missing like $8 trillion or something from the Pentagon, and they somehow planned a plane hitting right where that money was missing, like in the bank or whatever. So the whole thing was to distract us from this like $8 trillion that like went missing. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
Okay.
He's like, you can look it up. I'm like, I probably won't.
But yeah, I look at like, if you're Al Qaeda and you go, we want to destroy America, you don't have the nuclear capabilities of blowing up the entire country, right? Like they couldn't have done that. But what they did was a massive decimation of American culture and ideology and our day-to-day relationships with our family members.
Yeah.
They gave us the worst recession since the recession worse than since the Great Depression. We went into multiple wars, ran up tens of trillions of dollars in debt.
Right.
And now reality stars the President of the United States.
I know.
Short of actually blowing up the entire country, that's pretty damn effective.
Yeah.
And it's tragic and it's horrible, but so I think none of this that we're in right now where we're yelling at each other on Facebook and Russian bots to have American Eagle flag profile pictures, that would not happen if 9/11 had not happened.
Probably.
That's one of my theories from a person whose opinion on it you don't care about.
Oh, what do you have coming up? You're a performer, I'm sure, and you have stuff to plug. What do you have coming up?
My team LL Cool Beans performs every Tuesday night at 8 o'clock at the IO Theater. So I'll be doing that tonight, and then every Tuesday through the end of July, if anyone is in town. I will be in New York City for the New York Television Festival the week of July 14th through the 19th, and our television pilot Framed that I directed will be screening. The date has not been selected yet, but that week if you're in New York, you can come see that. Go to YouTube and look up The Hub, and you can hear this voice talk about viral videos and stuff. Would love your subscribers. We're on our way to 1 million subscribers, so please click that button, turn on notifications, and join our notification squad. Yeah, and then follow me on Twitter at Sam Bowers1 too.
Sam Bowers 1, 2.
In high school football was number 12.
Oh.
And Sam Bowers 1 seemed dumb. So I went, I'll put a second number and it feels more intentional this way.
Very nice. So thanks everybody for listening, and please tell some friends if you like this. Make comments in the social section. Use the hashtag Idiot Talk Show if you want to keep up with the conversation, and don't forget to subscribe.
Thanks for listening to Talk to Me Like I'm an Idiot. You can find us on all your favorite social channels at Idiot Talk Show. Make sure you subscribe anywhere that you get podcasts. And make sure you tell a friend. We can't grow without your love. Make a comment and we will definitely comment back. Have an awesome week, everybody.
I don't wanna be alone in this bed. Won't you give me something I can take apart? I don't wanna listen to the yelling in my head or the crying